Welcome to day 2 of the science behind the farm. And here at Jubilee Farm, we grow all sorts of fantastic and really tasty vegetables. And we saw yesterday how the soil is crucial to farming and to all life on earth. It's the foundation on which good farming and food production builds upon. And we saw also how when you take food and you produce food and you take energy in doing that out of the soil, then you need to return that energy and nutrients to the soil in order to keep it fertile and manage it well. The reason we do that is because it allows us to grow lots and lots of really tasty and really healthy vegetables. And it starts with having really good quality soil. So all that compost that you saw yesterday, at this time of year and even earlier, from late autumn into early winter, when the growing season is largely finished, we start to dress the beds and get them ready for winter. So they've had a season of growing, all that nutrients and energy has come out of them. So we return energy and nutrients by putting compost and manure back into the soil, and then we cover them over for winter in order to suppress weeds and other things from growing. And that allows the nutrients and all that energy to go back into the soil with our friends the earthworms helping to work it into the soil. And then the stage is set for the next stage of producing plants. And the next stage of producing plants starts with one of these, a seed. Now in this case, this is actually a garlic clove, and garlic is really easy to grow because you just get a bulb and you take the cloves and you plant them and they start to turn into more garlic. With other plants, it's from tiny little seeds. But it's worth thinking about all of the information that is contained in a seed like this. It's not just a product of natural selection of this particular species of plant over long periods of time, but it's also a product of artificial selection over a much shorter period of time, whereby people have started to select particular characteristics of plants, whether that's flavor or color or texture, because of personal preference, to compete at vegetable competition, because of market demands, whatever it might be. And it's that artificial selection that has given us such a huge diversity of plants. Even within garlic or within any other particular type of plant, you'll get lots and lots of different varieties, lots and lots of different types that people have bred and developed. So contained within this single seed is so much information, so much human history. One of the reasons why food and farming is such an interesting topic, because they're a product not just of nature, but also of human nature. One of the principles of vegetable production, particularly in an agroecological farming system like ours, is that of rotation, because if you don't rotate different types of crops around different places in your garden, then you get a buildup of pests and diseases. So that rotation is an easy way to keep the plants healthy and keep the soil healthy. And what you can see here in our market garden is 5 different zones, each divided in 2. So our market gardener actually is starting a 10-year rotation where we'll have different crops in each section every year and moving around. And that's not just because of pests and diseases building up, but it's also because different plants extract different nutrients more than other types of crops. So again, by moving them around, it just means that everything is in balance here in the market garden. And there are lots of different types of vegetables that we produce here, and all of them go into our Veg Box. So this year we had 30 different families, 10 of whom every week for 20 weeks got a Veg Box, and 20 of whom got a Veg Box every other week. And that was really about eating through the season. So whatever was in season went into the Veg Box that week. So at the height of summer we had tomatoes and courgettes and cucumbers by the wheelbarrow load. And now towards the very end of the growing season, we're left with some old familiar faces as well as some new plants. So what you can see behind me are a favourite food, or maybe an enemy, on the Christmas dinner plate is Brussels sprouts. You might be more familiar with them just as these little green balls, really. But in situ, growing in the field, They grow on these fantastic big stalks, and love them or hate them, they're a familiar presence on our dinner plates every Christmas. At the other end of the extreme, in terms of vegetables that you may not have ever come across before, is this one. This weird and wonderful specimen is something called a kohlrabi, and it's known as a cabbage apple. You can grate it, you peel it and grate it, or slice it just like an apple, but it tastes like a cabbage. Really good in a coleslaw, but we like to call it the UFO plant because it just looks a bit out of this world. Altogether, eating plants, eating a really good variety of vegetables, especially from a farm like ours that uses agroecology to have healthy soil, healthy plants, healthy animals and healthy people, is a really good way to put science into practice through eating and celebrating the diversity of plant species and particularly of vegetable species that we enjoy here in Northern Ireland and right around the world.